Greg, I'm going to bring you back up to introduce Chris, and we will go into our next session.
All right, we're going to get started on the next session. Is this thing on? Hello? Good. This next section, we're going to explore how bike and active culture gets done in our communities. This is really kind of the how of it. We all come from different perspectives, different backgrounds, but I think what's cool about bike culture is it can be as different as any community that it's in. So we don't have to have Bentonville's bike culture or Davis, California's or Boulder's or Chattanooga's. We can have a bike culture that Edwardsville needs or O'Fallon or Collinsville or Highland needs to make it work for us. So that's what we're really going to talk about, is how do we build that own unique culture that fits with what we have here and the people that we are. And because, when we're talking about culture, this is not just about infrastructure, it's about people. And a lot of what I have found to be really important about developing, outdoor recreation initiatives or bike initiatives is it's the outreach, it's the engagement, it's getting people involved in helping them build comfort around their own active lifestyle, whatever that looks like, and not trying to force them into some box that I might want them to be in or something else. So we're gonna get into that, and I want to the three panelists that were with us before are going to join us, but we have one more fellow. There he is right there. He moved on me. Chris Mileski is here, and Chris is the VP of Operations for the National Interscholastic Cycling League. It's a mouthful, NICA. Chris works in leadership at NICA and also founded Missouri's Interscholastic Cycling League in 2018, which is growing quickly, right? What, you've got 1,000? Not yet. Not yet? All right, good. NICA is basically a junior high and high school mountain biking program, but I'll let him talk about that more. Chris is a Marine Corps veteran, graduate of the University of Arizona, and has had an elite career coaching professional Olympic athletes. He's got too many certifications to even name here, a lot of initials. I'll let him talk about that. But Chris was also the head coach of Lindenwood's National Championship cycling team. They won 7 national championships, and he's in the Hall of Fame because of that. Chris and his family split their time between Wildwood, Missouri, and Bentonville. Gee, I wonder why that is. Well, please welcome Chris Mileski.
So I'm the guy that gets to follow Dr. Love. So Dr. Love mentioned the River City Otters, which is a team in our organization. So I'm glad you kind of set the table for me a little bit there. So how many of you here have heard of NICA? Show of hands. Okay, pretty good. Missouri Interscholastic Cycling League. Don't heard. How many of you heard of the Missouri League? A little bit less. How many of you heard of the Metro East Phoenix Composite Team? Yeah. So that is the local NICA team. So we actually have a local team here that's based in Edwardsville, that participates in the Missouri League. So what does that say? We got to get the league over there. So it's a fantastic program. I'm going to tell you just kind of quickly a couple slides, just kind of explain the program and why we think it would be really a huge benefit in this community.
Arrows.
All right. All right, so more kids on bikes. That's our motto. We're going to see that everywhere. Every time I put a social media post up, you're going to see that motto everywhere. So our mission is to build strong minds, bodies, character, and communities through cycling. So vision. Every youth is empowered to be part of a thriving and engaged cycling community. So NICA, as Dr. Lovett mentioned, in the Missouri Interscholastic Cycling League, is mountain biking. Right? But what it's doing is we're getting more kids on bikes, starting really in 5th grade, and even some of our programs go younger than that, all the way through high school. And I think the biggest take-home message here is it's a lifelong sport. How many of y'all put the football pads on or get your gloves on and go play baseball or do some other ball sport on the weekends? Very few of us, but how many ride bikes, swim, triathlon, go for a run, walk on our bike paths? right? It's a lifelong sport, something we can do for the rest of our lives. And that's really, really important concept to get across to our kids. Core values. So you notice the red there, fierce. These are our core values. We actually put these on our flags. And at our big events, we put these flags all over our events just to make sure that our entire community are following along with our core values. So fun, inclusivity is a big one, equity, respect, and community. The biggest thing about our organization is there are no benches. Every single kid that comes to our league rides. They race if they choose to race. They don't have to, but every single kid goes on a trail ride with a trained coach, and that's really, really important. There's no bench. A lot of times, I'm a big ball sport fan too, but too many times we start to marginalize our kids, whether they have a lot of talent or they don't. Mountain biking, everybody rides. So I'm going to skip a couple here. So this is NICA's footprint right now in the United States. So currently we have 31 leagues in 29 states across the U.S. The state of California, which is where NICA started, has 2 leagues, the NorCal and SoCal League, and there's also 2 leagues in Nevada as well, just because their climates are completely opposite from Reno to Las Vegas. So we actually have the Spring League in the southern part of Nevada and the northern part in the Fall League. So more than 80% of the U.S. population has access to a NICA league now. So that's a fantastic opportunity for kids. And then the last bullet point there, we grow at a rate of 18% year over year. So I was that league director. I stepped down from Lindenwood to I first heard about NICA in 2012. I was actually working for USA Cycling. I was on a recruiting trip. I was coaching in Lindenwood. I was at West Virginia University. And at the time, USAC put on their very first How Are We Going to Get More Kids on Bikes seminar. And so I was sitting there, and the 2 founders of NICA actually did a WebEx that day. And it was back in 2012. So NICA was founded in 2009. I immediately drank the Kool-Aid. I was like, wow, if these guys can execute what they're talking about, they're going to have one heck of a program, and it's going to explode all over the U.S. and hopefully internationally. And we've seen that rate of growth now just as short as 12, 13 years. So the Missouri League, of course, I was that league director that decided we're going to start a brand new program during COVID. That was challenging, to say the least, but very first year, 2020, we had our first year of programming. We actually had 262 kids and 18 teams across the state in Missouri. Last year was our first year we were able to have league level events, so 5 races all across the state of Missouri. We blew up to 412 student athletes and 204 coaches. This year we're projecting about 675 kids on bikes in our league. So you can imagine pulling up to one of our race events and seeing 700 kids, 250 coaches all riding around on mountain bikes. It's pretty powerful. And the biggest thing is, these aren't all like your pro riders and everything else. This is every kid that just wants to ride a bike, build a community, and have fun and be a part of something. So I'm going to skip over just a few of these. So coaching. So these are some of the programs that we do at NICA. So coaching, most of our coaches, well, they're all volunteers. Okay. And what you really see is when you launch a league like this, yes, you're going to get your diehard bikers and triathletes and mountain bikers kind of involved. But what you really see after a few years is you start seeing the parents really, really get into the coaching mode. So most of our teams, they're made up of just normal parents that maybe bike in school, maybe they didn't, maybe they bike now, maybe they don't. But they go out and they buy bikes, and they get healthy, and they start riding with their kids, right? And they start encouraging their kids to come to school. They go out and they use these bike paths on the weekends. And so really, really building that family and community unit. That's what we see through our coaching program. So, of course, we put on races. As I said last year, we put on 5 statewide events in Missouri. I really hope to get one over here on the Illinois side at some point. So that's a goal of ours, maybe next year or 2024. Teen Trail Corps is another big program I want to talk about. So Teen Trail Corps, not only do we encourage our kids, obviously, to get on the bike, get out in nature, explore, adventure, do some bike packing trips, etc. We also talk about advocacy. So, a lot of our local trail groups here, they're always looking for volunteers to come out and help, right? Shovel, rake in the dirt. We encourage all of our teams to have one of their practices a month in their local communities getting back and doing advocacy work. So, big part of our program. Initiatives, I think Dr. Lovett mentioned GRIT. There it is, Girls Riding Together. So it's a national program. Mountain biking, like Dr. Lovett mentioned, is, and you see in most cycling, is about 80% male, 20% female. So this is an initiative that we started with Rafa back a couple of years ago to grow female participation in our sport, not only with student athletes, but also coaches, by 10% over the next 5 years. So Missouri right now, we're sitting at about 37% of our coaches are female. Our leadership is 65% female in our league. So I think we're setting the bar high there. So our impact. So these are 2021 numbers. So we have almost 27,000 student athletes across our 31 leagues, almost 15,000 coaches across 1,100 teams. Again, we start in 6th grade, so middle school is where our biggest growth is. We're at 12,000 middle school kids, but that's increasing exponentially what we're seeing across the U.S., which is great. It means younger kids are getting more involved. Missouri's, I threw up that number earlier that basically all night leagues grow at 18% a year. We grew 64% in Missouri. So if we get to 675 this year, which we're well on the way, that'll be another 60% jump. So that 1,000 number that Greg threw up, we're 2025, we'll hit that 1,000 student athlete. So our impact. So I think this is probably the most important slide of this presentation. So beyond the bike, 97% of parents have indicated their child's health and fitness has improved with participating in NICA. So really important. We heard earlier, Dr. Lovett mentioned that childhood obesity, is an all-time high, right? So this is getting kids off the screens, at least for the time being, right? Whether at practice or at a race. It's getting them off the couch and getting them on their bike, and getting them out in nature, right? And doing things that they've never seen they could do before. So 90% of student athletes shared their coaches taught them something more than just about riding bikes. So remember, this is a youth development program. We just use the mountain biking as a tool. That's our tool to success, right? So we really are a youth development organization. So all of our coaches go through really extensive training just to make sure that they're really building good human beings in our kids. So, and finally, 92% of our student athletes said they developed an increased respect for trails and the environment from participating. So what you're really seeing is these kids become much more active members in the community, right? And these are our future trail builders. These are our future bike shop owners, triathlon shop owners, our swim program instructors. They're all built up in these leagues. So really an exciting program. So we need a league here in Illinois to join us in Missouri. We've got one in Kansas, we have one in Nebraska. So we hope to get one here in the next few years. Definitely a lot of interest. So thank you very much. Any questions? Yeah, that's a great question. So when NICA was formed, they never thought they were going to be this big, right? They thought they were going to be, so the basic idea of NICA was that California would train other states and then push them out and have them go on their own. They had no idea they were going to form a national organization. Washington actually had a league. They left after a year. So they were never really part of the organization. They will be coming back online here pretty soon. Colorado was in the same situation. Colorado was actually the first state outside of California to have a league. So they just left NICA last year. They don't do middle school racing there. They just do high school racing. So part of what we try to do at NICA is also get down into the younger groups, into the elementary schools. But they do have a league there just independent of NICA. So, okay. But yeah, Colorado was a big part of NICA for a lot of years. So, any other questions? Before we jump into the panel? Awesome, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.